Welcome to Sharp or Square, presented by Hard Rock Bet. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network. This is the show that makes the squares sharper and makes the wise guys pay attention. I am Chad Millman. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, my companion, my partner, my BFF, professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Chad, what a day yesterday was for both of us.
Dude, I'm gobsmacked. This isn't what happens to the Bears. We're the team that double doinks. We're the team that gets 4th and 1 from the 2 and snaps it over the head of our 7th round 5'5" running back. We are not the team that comes from 10 down in the final 2 minutes, recovers an onside kick, and then throws a bomb where the quarterback is so casual about it. While the ball is in the air, he stuffs his hands into his hand warmers because he knows he just dropped it into the basket. We're the team that trades up to get Mitch Trubisky and passes over Patrick Mahomes. This is not the Bears.
Yeah, but they had us for about 3 quarters there. It was the same old Bears. And I know you're in the same spot as me. I was just cursing their name. I couldn't believe I walked into it, even though I said a million times I wasn't going to, but I just fell in love with this Bears team all year because of what happened in that final 2 minutes. This whole year, feels like every time I bet on this team, they leave me scratching my head for 3 quarters, and all of a sudden that magical fourth quarter comes around. And I think it's an NFL record, right? Now they've won 6 games. They've been trailing in the 2 minutes left in the game. They've won 6 of them. It's crazy. It's a crazy identity. It's like we always talk about all the time in NFL. There's the talent level is so high. Just the coaching can make the biggest difference in everything overall. And the biggest to me is just the Ben Johnson belief. These guys consistently believe in themselves. So can't believe it. On the other side, if you are Green Bay, talk about having horrible injury luck, season from hell, just everything rolled into one. Green Bay totally outplayed the Bears for 3 quarters and, with their backup in there, and it just totally fell apart there by the seams. Their secondary is just so banged up. You're waiting for Caleb to get away with these deep ball throws, and they just couldn't find it. And eventually, like we said, the game kept going. And that throw in the overtime, like everyone keeps saying, ice in his veins, it was incredible. It really was. Like, as someone just sitting there as a fan, did not see that coming. Really did think it was a handoff. I was just like the defense. I bid on it, and he had the perfect read, right? The safety bit. I think they said it was 0.6 inches or feet maybe, or something insane like that of separation between DJ and the cornerback. Like tight window.
Oh, yeah.
Just all-time throw by Caleb. So, yeah, everyone, even only people weren't screaming were Green Bay fans. Anyone that's a football fan, you were going absolutely crazy. That was an all-time moment.
It also is just an indication of how much penalties make a difference in this game. Don't forget, Bears had a 3rd and 20, and they were sacked, and they weren't going to even be able to kick a field goal. And Caleb, the defensive lineman for the Packers, pulled on his face mask as he was going down, and the Bears get a first down, and they kick the field goal, and all of a sudden they're only down 7, and they get the onside kick. Like, it just these penalties, and that was not a penalty that shouldn't have been called. It just goes to show you how every single little mistake has a huge, huge impact on the game and how it can swing momentum. What a crazy 48 hours of football, from Thursday night football to Saturday night football. You and I were reeling at the end of that Bears game because we had been on the Commanders. That was a tough beat. Just with Mariota going down, they looked like they were going to be able to be competitive in that game. Josh Johnson comes in, no longer the case, but we got to move on to Sunday, brother. Let's get to it. This is the semi-stripped down in the room eavesdropping version of Sharp or Square. We're going to make some regretful, utterly human decisions and get to our final 5. You can see the dynamic lines that Simon and I are playing at the free Sharp or Square Pro Football Pick'em contest. If you signed up to play in the contest, that was sharporsquare.thevolume.com. We are Chad and Simon BFFs. We're 6-4 on the year in that contest since it started. Are you ready, brother?
I'm ready.
All right. So these are the games that we had zeroed in on the other day. I think we're still debating where we're going to land. First one up, Tampa Bay at Carolina. Carolina plus 3.5. I feel like we've been waiting our entire lives together to bet Carolina as an underdog with the hook at home with a chance to play meaningful football. Here we are. Are we sticking with it?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. This is a spot that's been good to us all year back in Carolina, especially after a loss, right? I think they're 6-0 against the spread, 5-1 straight up. So it's been a team that tends to bounce back all season. On the flip side, this Bucs team, even at their fully healthy height of their powers to start the year, Baker playing out of his mind, they kept squeaking out wins, right? Every time they'd win, it would be by a handful of points. They've had a couple blowouts this year, but it's really been few and far in between. I gave you that crazy stat. There are 6 straight weeks now they haven't covered. So seeing the professionals and the public alike coming on the Bucs is not that surprising, right? They are due. They did get all their guys back. They are healthy at this point, but we keep talking about Bryce Young, this Panthers team. They play possum, right? They played dead. The following week, all of a sudden, Bryce Young just can't miss guys, and their run game is just out of their control. It's just so up and down, this team. And the Bucs, they've been a questionable defense all season. We've talked about that. Like, anytime they need their defense to get a stop, they cannot get a stop. And it reared its ugly head last week. And I know they're trying to say it's all good. They're working through stuff. And, Mike Evans says, I was just emotional at the time. Cooler heads have prevailed. A guy like him walking off the field yelling 3rd and 28 multiple times as he walks through, heads in the locker room. I don't know if the vibes could be any worse for this Bucs team. They're just reeling in so many bad ways. So I know the Panthers, it's crazy, especially the Hard Rock. Like, they've moved off the 3. There's tons of 3s out there. I'm all on the 3s. And, if you're forced to take 2.5, I wouldn't let it scare me off. But this just feels like such a number spot for this Panthers team where this should be a pick. But the general public just, what we think. It's just like this Bucs team, we're waiting for them to be this dominant playoff team they've been these last 3 years, and they just have not been that team. So I'm interested to see where this number ends up. Like you said, in the contest, we have 3.5. I wonder if people can still play that now. I think this is going to keep heading to 2.5. So if you can't get a 3.5, I'd lock it in now. I think this will be 2.5 by kickoff.
Bryce Young, the most fourth quarter overtime touchdowns since comeback wins since 2023. And this is when he does it as an underdog. The final minutes, Dave Canales makes risky calls. Bryce Young follows through. That's what we're betting on today with the Carolina Panthers. They are in. Buffalo Bills minus 10.5 at the Cleveland Browns. Simon, this is going to be our Rock in a Hard Place bet of the week presented by Hard Rock Bet. Surprise, surprise, we are going against all of our instincts. We are going against everything we have ever done. We are doing something that is so anti this show. We are betting against the huge home underdog. We are betting against the dominant defense. We are betting against the dominant defense at home with the generational Hall of Fame player who is on pace to set a single season sack record, Myles Garrett, the Cleveland Browns. We are fading the dog pound, the energy, the will of the fans in Cleveland. We're betting Josh Allen with the hook at 10.5. Rocking hard.
Yeah, I love this game. It's by far one of our more public plays of the entire season. Doesn't get more publicness, like you just said. It's a huge road favorite. Everyone you've talked to, they're all in on this Bills team, right? Between the parlays, the money lines, everyone's just piling in on it. And it's for good reason, like we've talked about. It's a unique spot, right? Josh Allen tends to do really well against really dominant defenses. And, to me, this feels like a price from a month or two ago, right? Feels like the number they're giving this Browns team is their home field advantage from what we were betting, a couple of months ago. That just has not been the same, especially this past month, where their run defense has been suspect and very, very poor against great teams and, even bad teams, I should say, but against really good teams, like you saw with the Bears last week. Teams that have good run schemes tend to dominate this Cleveland team lately. So try not to overthink this one, right? I have it at a model at 13. If you're backing the Browns here, right, you really need to lean into the elements and all these things that bounce your way where I just can't see it, right? It's Josh Allen. He's used to playing this type of weather. He's not going to be scared off by lake effect type of weather. And defensively, as many questions we do have about this Bills team, can Shedeur Sanders in that run game really take advantage of it? I don't know if they can, right? It's going to be an interesting game. That's really the matchup we're both going to be worried about, right? How does this Bills defense do? Because they've had games where they've just totally laid down. And, even that Patriots game, I don't want to say they laid down, but there was a minute there where it's just like, oh my God, they can't stop the pass or the rush. Like what can the Bills take away from a team right now? So I'll be interested how they bounce back here. But offensively, this feels like the exact game where Josh Allen, maybe throws for 150, but the run game runs for 200 with him and Cook. So I love this matchup.
Yeah, this is really a bet against Shedeur Sanders in this Browns offense being able to score enough points to keep it close. We just haven't seen the evidence that they can do that on a consistent basis. There's more games like what they did against the Bears than what they did in desperation against the Titans a few weeks ago at home. So we're going with the Buffalo Bills, the publicly play of the season for us. Jacksonville plus 3.5 at Denver. We're on the Jags. You and I were talking before we came on the air. There's a couple games where this thing had been sitting at 3, and now all of a sudden we're starting to see professional money move it to 3.5. And this is one of those games. We're taking the other side. We're betting Jacksonville. I can't believe we're betting Trevor Lawrence. It's Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence. We don't like either of them. So all of a sudden we're taking the hook with the quarterback that I guess we're going to live with. Are we betting on Jacoby Myers here? What are we doing?
Yeah, we're really playing the number. And I think we've seen a little bit of a theme here these last, 48 hours, like we talked about. These really good teams and playoff teams, when they play each other this late in the season, there is no letdown or give up in either side. And these teams play to the final whistle, and it's been incredibly close games. I mean, if the Bears had gone for 2, which I thought they were going to, that would have been another 1-point game, just like that Seahawks rain game. So this is another game that I feel like is going to be incredibly close. Could mean you get blown out here by the Broncos because they do have such a dominant defense. Sure. But I don't know if they've faced the type of offense where the Jags are running here, which, the Jags have just been playing at another level. You can say, well, they've had easy competition. Yes, but they've put up over 40 points in back-to-back weeks. They've been dominant, and it's been really impressive. And we've talked about it. This run scheme they've had there, it's really opened up the pass offense. And your guy, Myers, who just got a big payday, he's changed the offense. He's what they thought Travis Hunter would be for them on offense, right? He opens up the doors for so many different players. And, you just look at this scheme-wise. I just think this Jaguars team could be in this game competitively the entire way. On the flip side, the Broncos, I know Bo Nix has been playing really well, but we've seen him have these up and down games. And this feels like another spot where he could easily have a low game. And a Jags team that, like I talked about, they haven't given up more than 75 yards rushing this season. So it's going to be on Bo Nix. He's going to have to beat them with his arm, and it's going to be interesting if he's going to be able to do that back-to-back weeks. Because last week, he had a lot of throws. I feel like he got away with it. And, that's what we said. We got Bo Nix last week. We're doubling down. We're saying there's no way he's going to do it to us again. So I really, it is about the number. If this was 2.5, I wouldn't have really forced us to take this one. But at 3.5, I can't avoid it. And we've seen it move, right? Every book we talked Thursday was 3. It's 3.5 everywhere. So like Chet said, the pros have come in. They've taken a position on Denver. I think they're taking it at a bad number. I think they should be 2.5 too.
Pittsburgh at Detroit. We're taking Detroit minus 6.5. I know we wanted to not fade Mike Tomlin, and we feel sort of burned by not having done it a couple of weeks ago against the Ravens in that spot. I think we've both come to believe this is a little bit of a different game and a different scenario for this Pittsburgh team, and that their defense just isn't playing as well as it has been. And this is a good opportunity. If Detroit is -7, by the way, at Hard Rock right now, it's 6.5 in our contest. So anyone who's been playing it has been getting 6.5. But the opportunity for the Lions to dominate in the run game here, I think, is what we're really leaning into.
Yeah, they have been good for us, these Lions, in the bounce back spots this year, just like Carolina. And they have a little bit more history on their side with this in this exact spot, right? The Lions, after a loss, we know the numbers. Campbell is 14-1 against the spread, right? He usually gets his guys up to bounce back. And this is another game where I am honestly shocked it's not up to minus 7.5 on this Lions team.
It is 7.5 in the contest, by the way. It's just moved to 7.5.
Which just seems right? This morning, I expected a lot of public money to be coming on this Lions team, even though, if someone's going to tweet out, most likely the number one bet on underdog this week is the Steelers money line. That to me makes sense, right? I know pros who are taking a position on the Steelers money line here because of what Chad just said. Like Tomlin, in these type of spots, he tends to have some voodoo type of tricks, but we've talked about all the things for the Lions here, right? This is an indoor game. They don't have the elements like the Steelers kind of need. This is going to be a track meet. So can the Steelers offense keep up? That's what it's going to come down to me. It's like, can they keep up with this Lions offense, which this season, shockingly, they're going to be the number 2, number 1 team for yards and points most likely at the end of the season. They've just been on an absolute tear. It's just the defense and injuries that let them down. So can Rodgers take advantage of it? Perhaps. But me and Chad, once again, we have an amazing number, especially the -6.5. And there is one very public book out there still with a 6.5, which is pretty interesting. But we know this Lions team, the Bills, probably going to be the 2 most bet on numbers and sides for the general public. So very public plays here, but it really is all about the number. And the 6.5, I just can't avoid it. I love the Lions here.
We're going to have to make a call because if the line is 6.5 in the contest and there's something that we want to be, or 7.5 in the contest, if there's something we want to be playing, we might want to have to evaluate because now it's 7.5. I say that because we talked about New England and Baltimore this week. New England was 3.5 in the contest, and we liked New England. This was Chad's choice, and a lot of professional money coming in on the Ravens in the past 48 hours. So that's making me a little bit nervous about sticking with the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and we kind of knew this, though, Chad. This was probably going to be the biggest public dog this week, right? It's just, I think the general public is just like us. The Bills have not passed any type of eye test this entire season, and it's just something that's off with Lamar. There's questions for me with Lamar, and he did use his legs more last week, but it really felt like that was a Joe Burrow gave them that game away. Like they were in that game in every way. Their defense was getting stops, and he just totally messed up in multiple positions, kept getting in Lamar short fields, and eventually that run game took over. The Patriots, variable, they've been stout against the run. So I guess the Patriots are due for a really bad letdown game this season. They haven't had it since week 1 against the Raiders. Like it's just
they did have a letdown in the second half against the Bills. I mean, they completely
that's who they are, though, right? You
gave
those stats, Chad. That's who they are. They're a team that dominates first halves and totally get outplayed technically. I think 3 of their 4 close losses this year have come when they just have not played well at all in the second half and got outpaced. So, it's what we talked about a little bit on Thursday, though. I think the pros are looking at this as Ravens been there, done that, proven team. I gave you that stat, Lamar.
Yeah,
never lost. He's 16-0 in these 2 weeks, week 15 and 16. It's crazy. Like that really is one of the more impressive stats you can give a guy for being that dominant in the month of December. So, we'll go back to the our Vrabel well. I know it's the biggest public dog this week, but I think the public's right on this read. Like this, the Ravens could win this game, but to me, by more than a field goal, they're going to need so many things to bounce their way and so many things go wrong for this team. So we know New England has a ton of injuries, but Drake Maye playing from behind and that run game, I think they're always going to be in this game. So we'll take that hook with the +3.5.
Let's do a quick word from Hard Rock, and then we're going to finalize where we're at. Want to know where I bet on sports during the holiday season? That's right, it's Hard Rock Bet. Not just because it's the presenting sponsor of our show, but because they make it easy to bet both pregame and live in just a few simple taps. I open the app, find a bet I like, and then bam, my bet is placed. Just in time for me to get back to wrapping presents and enjoying my favorite Christmas movie. Sign up today and bet $5 on any game. If it wins, you also score $150 in bonus bets, a winning bet, plus an extra $150 to bet with. Now that's spreading holiday cheer. Plus, Hard Rock Bet fills your stockings with new promos daily. So whenever you're listening, just open the app and check out what you've got any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. All right, so the one game we've loved all week, Simon says it was the New York Giants +3 against the Minnesota Vikings. And it's not in our contest play right now because in the contest it's been 2.5. Do we want to take anything out? Are we moving away from the Patriots? Is that making us nervous? Is there a Jacksonville play that would make us want to take out? Do we want to take out Jacksonville and put in the Giants? We're not getting as good of a number, but are we nervous about any of these plays that makes us want to put the Giants in?
No, it's really about the number. If it was 3.5, honestly, I could be talked into it because then we're really in business there. Just like a couple of these other games where it's like, looking back, yeah, should we probably have switched New England out? But I was never going to get there. Like they got me with the hook. It's just too good to be true. So this one's so much more that this is what I talked on Tuesday. I knew this was going to be a pro spot, right? The pros are going to come in on this. It's a unique team in Minnesota that, they're not an outdoor team. They're not great in the elements. It's not that bad, honestly, here in Jersey. It's not really like it's freezing cold.
No, it's fine.
No,
it's fine.
It honestly is. That's not something you really hang your hat on, but it is a unique spot in the fact that it is JJ out in the elements in a game that he's going to need to be passing in the swirling winds of that field. And we've seen it. This Giants team identity is using their legs, right? Either darts legs or the running backs. They don't really want to be passing the ball too much downfield. They've been that way ever since they lost the number one receiver. So it's a game I do like, Chad. There is one game we have not talked about that I do love. And, this Giants game, I throw in the blender of a bunch of games that I was hoping you'd come in on. Like I was hoping you'd come in and be like, well, Tennessee at 3.5, we have to take it. That's gone. It's 2.5 everywhere. I thought maybe you'd be on Dallas, but now that Dallas has nothing to play for, I can see you're probably not too excited to be betting big money on a Dallas team that no one really knows how they're going to play that game. So there's a lot of games we did like that are kind of falling by the wayside here. But the game we have not talked much about that I think is probably the sharpest line this week, it's got to be that Colts 49ers game. Colts 5.5. I know it's throwing a little wrench in the Matt Mitchell probably didn't see it coming, but this is the definition of a rallying spot for this Colts team. On the flip side, the Niners, how do we not want to fade them? This is a team that hasn't played a legit team in a month. Like, I mean, people probably forget the last team they played that was legit was LA. They lost 42-26. This is not Colts offense is not going anywhere close to LA's offense, but they can run the ball. So they're basically coming off a 4-win streak of Arizona, Carolina, which that Carolina game was very fluky in my opinion. That Cleveland game, which we always said that was a very special teams game, and then they beat Tennessee. Like this is, to me, the peak of this Niners team. Like I think they're going to lose this game. I think the Bears are going to beat them.
Wow.
I know. I think it's all about the fall apart for this Niners team, and it really comes back to I've talked about these injuries to this defense. I have no doubt about the Niners offense. The defense, I think they're dead last in sack and pressures this season. Like they can get away with it against these bad teams, but against good teams, the Colts to me are still a good team. They just had some really bad luck, obviously, with all these injuries. And I know Sauce isn't going to play either. That's a big deal. But I think the Colts, they have the scheme to keep this game close and kind of keep the Niners off field, never letting that offense get into rhythm. And it really comes back to that Jonathan Taylor scheme. So, it's there's a bunch of stupid stats if you want to dive. We don't have to dive too much into it, but this Colts team, they've actually owned this Niners team throughout the years. If you go back all the way to 2013, they've won 4 straight against the Niners. Doesn't matter who the Niners coaches have been, who the scheme has been. They've always kind of dominated this matchup. And if you go back and look, I think the last time they played was 21. I love the way Shane Steichen, his scheme is against this type of solid defense. And you go back and watch, again, that wasn't that dominant of a team in 21. It really is about the run game. And there's something this Colts team can do that gives Saleh's defenses problems. So I know it's a tough sell. I don't know if I'm going to get us in there because we could have had 6.5 earlier in the week, but I want people to know, don't let this 5.5 scare you off. It could get to 6, but I think the pros will keep hitting this one. This feels like a really bad spot in the matchup for the Niners team.
So if we take something out, because we've entered the contest, I put our picks in on Tuesday because I wanted to get the best of the lines on some numbers, and that included 6.5 on Detroit. So if we're going to go back in and put this in for, say, New England, then we're going to have to go to 7.5 in Detroit. Is it worth it? Do we like 3.5 for New England better than 5.5 for Indy with Phillip Rivers?
Like I said, Chad, I can't get talked out of the New England one because I think it's such a good number and it's such a good variable spot. But that's why I'm hoping you're the clear mind here and you'd be like, no, New England's got injuries. We got to switch them out. The Colts this is the spot. But, we got the 6.5 too on the lines. It's just, I can't get there. I feel like we should just leave it as is.
Yeah, I don't want to put the Colts in and Phillip Rivers because maybe everything you're saying is right. And it probably is. You may have turned me around. Maybe I'll bet the Colts on Monday night.
Not a maybe. You got to do it.
But I love Vrabel. Like I'm in the same way I'm betting on Ben Johnson. I'm betting on Mike Vrabel. Especially betting on Mike Vrabel after a collapse like last week. They know what their issues have been. They're smart enough to figure them out in the second half. They've seen it all season. Now they've got tangible evidence. They didn't get to sneak by against a bad team. Like, this is something they got to fix. I think they're going to do it. So let's leave the Patriots in there.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So then our final 5 is going to be Tampa Bay at Carolina. We're going with Carolina plus 3.5. Buffalo at Cleveland. We're going with Buffalo minus 10.5. Jacksonville at Denver. We're going with Jacksonville 3.5. Pittsburgh at Detroit. We're going with Detroit. It's 7.5 now, but we got it at 6.5 in the contest. New England plus 3.5 in the contest at Baltimore. That is it. Our last one's out. It feels like our last ones out are going to be really Minnesota at the New York Giants plus 2.5. We also had a couple conversations about Arizona, but it's a 2.5 in the contest. For the Raiders at 14.5. We didn't get to it. We're going to be watching it. At least I am, because I did bet the Raiders 14.5 at Houston. Okay. This has been Sharper Square, part of the Volume Podcast Network. We're going to be back on Sharper Square YouTube tonight after the late afternoon games. Tune in live. We'll answer your questions. We'll review all the misery and heartache of the day. Watch or listen on YouTube at Sharper Square. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars. Say whatever you want. Feedback is the gift. Until next time, love you.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby. We're going to be here all day. We're going to be here all day, baby. I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.